What's going on, everybody? This is Ian the Motorsports Man here. Welcome back to yet another video. It is finally time to answer your questions about racing stories. And before I begin, I just want to say thank y'all so much for supporting 5 years of racing stories. You guys are the best out there. You guys are one of the reasons why I still keep going with the series. I still enjoy making the series. And I'm so grateful to give you guys the spotlight of asking questions about this series that I do. So, with that being said, let's answer some questions. And first question comes from a good friend, Cito Brown. He asked, first of all, congrats on 5 years of racing stories. Thank you. Second of all, my question is, who did you get inspiration from to create racing stories? This is one of the questions I've been wanting to answer for a while from fans and people I know, but believe it or not, it's something I wanted to do like a year before my original channel termination. Like originally I wanted to do racing stories on my original main channel, but that got terminated until it came back for 2022, and then I had to create a new channel, and then I just started making racing stories. So my inspiration, believe it or not, was from a channel named Horror Stories, aka Horror Stories 666. Back when he mainly made horror videos on YouTube before going to Patreon, I was inspired by him because I liked how he narrated. I liked how he told stories. I liked how he made his videos. And I liked the name, like Horror Stories. So I wanted to make racing stories videos just like him. But thankfully, that's come a long way, because if I did the exact same formula, like doing horror stories like I did 2019, yeah, that wouldn't be as good. I've come a long way. Things have changed in the series, but my inspiration came from Horror Stories. Second question comes from Jennifer Moores. She asked, what is your favorite racing stories you did? That's a very good question, and oh my goodness, that is a very tough question at the same time. There's a lot that I am a fan of. So one of my favorite episodes that I've done, like I do have a lot of favorites, but I'm gonna go by the story of Golden Gate Speedway, because I remember seeing an NR 2003 Abandoned Tracks video from NASCAR Fan 19, and he brought up Golden Gate Speedway. It was a racetrack in Tampa from the 60s, and I've always wanted to do a video on Tiny Lund. He's my favorite old school NASCAR driver, even though there's a documentary about Tiny Lund, but for some reason I still wanted to make a video about him. I really enjoyed making the 1973 Indianapolis 500 episode, because when I saw that race, of how tragic it was, I was curious of like what went down, what happened throughout the entire month of May of 73. I also liked the Salt Walther video, the Salt Walther episode, because when I saw the interview of him back in 1978 and 1978 Indy 500 after he had some car issues, I was really curious about Saltwater. For some reason, that's one of the interviews that still sticks by me to this day. Bumpergate, the story 1982 Daytona 500, is also one of my favorites, because I really wanted to do an episode about Bumpergate from that race. There's just a lot. Oh man, there's just a lot. I'm not gonna go like this episode, that episode, I don't know. There's a lot of good ones. I'm just naming names. Also, one of my favorites is Elliott Sadler in the quest of winning one last NASCAR Xfinity Series race, because as an Elliott Sadler fan, did the Nationwide Xfinity Series. It was a hell of a journey to see Elliott Sadler trying to get that one final win between 2017 2018. And it was tough to revisit, but it was still fun to revisit. And also revisit the good times as an Elliott Sadler fan. I also liked Mark Martin, the King of IROC, because it was awesome to revisit, IROC. Such an awesome series. It's awesome to see Mark Martin be a champion of some racing series. Love to see it. And one of my personal favorites was also the NASCAR Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles collaborations. I love racing. I love the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Simple as that. It was also cool to do an episode of Sage Cameron's Pocono Return. I've always wanted to do that since there was an announcement of him returning to Pocono, but in NASCAR. A lot of good ones. That's not all of them, but there's a lot of good ones. Anyway, I've been at it long enough with this question, but I have a lot of good episodes that I really like. So yeah, what are your favorites? So next question comes from Mutant Turkey. He's got 2 questions. First of all, story about Airbury Speedway. Unfortunately, I do not have any plans on doing a Racing Stories episode on Airbury Speedway, because Slap Shoes has done it, And I really like to make episodes that are not as well known or nobody talks about. I like to keep it original. So if somebody makes a video about anything racing, whether I do have ideas of that or not, I don't intend to do that. Plus, there's a chance that somebody else would do better than me on those things anyway. Second question, he asked, what is that one racing stories video that is the most weird? A weird racing stories episode that I've made was, of course, the story about Chip Williams when he was a former spokesman in NASCAR and former publicist, but then he became a pedophile. Of course, that's weird. Like, nothing gets weirder than that, even though weird is an understatement for pedophilia. But the Chip Williams episode is a weird one, let's just say, of obviously because of what he did. And he's a piece of shit. Hopefully he rots. So next question comes from Gabriel Fonseca. I really do apologize if I butchered the first name. He asked me two questions. So first question, he asked, are you going to talk about the two sports car races in Puerto Rico, a.k.a. the Isla Grande road course or the Racing Caguas with Roger Penske winning? First of all, even back when I lived in Puerto Rico, I don't think I've heard anything like that. I remember being in a Puerto Rico race that's not drag racing. I don't know. Would I do that? I mean, I'll look into it at least to see if that is idea worthy in future episodes of the Isla Grande or the Racing Caguas with Roger Penske. I'll look into it at least. I can't promise anything. So yeah. Second question, he also asked, are we going to get a video on drivers like Richie Evans or like Frank Kimmel or like a driver who like dominated in grassroots racing but sadly passed away in their prime? I think the Richie Evans video has been done by NBR. Y'all should check that out. It's a good one. But for Frank Kimmel, I've been thinking about that and making an episode about Frank Kimmel's time in ARCA. I'll see what I can do with that. So thanks for the idea. I really do hope I can make it one day. So I like to make something like that. Next question comes from John Vendeventer. He asked, in your opinion, what do you think was the darkest racing stories you ever did? Now, this is a question I'd like to answer. There's been some dark ones that I've done. The dark ones like the fatal two-car crash at Sunny Speedway, the Leroy Yarbrough episode, the Gaston Chevrolet's episode, because like he had a triumphant season 1920, but then unfortunately died. But he died as a champion. Oh Jesus, the early episodes were dark. From the Sunny Speedway, Leroy Yarbrough, Gaston Chevrolet's 1920 season, Don Williams, the 1973 Indy 500, Salt Walther, A Kill in the Race, 1984, 24 Hours at Daytona. There's a lot of dark episodes that I've done. And I've done that constantly early into the series. I never intended to do that, but it just happens. Another dark one was the 2003 NR 500 Suicide. Yeah, there's just like a lot of dark episodes I've done. Even the Chip Williams episode, like I mentioned, that's also one of the dark ones. But what is the darkest episode I've done? I would still have to go to Chip Williams, obviously, because of what he did off the track. It's like nothing gets more horrid and disgusting than that. And just pure evil. Same with the Christopher Wilder story when he was in 1984, 24 Hours to Daytona. That's also dark because A Killer in the Race. So the top two darkest episodes I've done was Chip Williams and the 1984 Relux 24 Daytona with Christopher Wilder. Next question comes from Travis in Archer's Adventures. He asked, what was the best racing stories episode you did? Like I said, that's a good question still, but it's just a lot of episodes that I'm really proud of. Man, like I said, if I do recall, one of my favorites is like the 1973 Indy 500, the Salt Walther episode, Bumper Gates. I really did also like making the NASCAR in Australia episode when they were at Thunderdome for the 1988 Goodyear 500 with my good friend Nick. I forgot to mention that one of my favorite episodes I liked doing was the Trans Am Racing Series when they raced at the 2003 Puerto Rico Grand Prix. That was a good one. I really liked doing A.J. Allmendiger's INDYCAR return with Ben Schneider. That was a good one. Like I said, there's just a lot of episodes to name. Like, I'd go all day about it, but it'll be way too long to go to. The final question comes from CSC31 Racing Network. He asked, what other racing stories would you like to do in the future? That's the thing. And obviously, I don't want to spoil anything. I really don't want to like ruin the surprise. But I can tell you all this. Well, as of making this video, I just got done making the script for episode 60 of Racing Stories. Hopefully that'll come out soon. I gotta work on that. I gotta deal with like other videos to work with, and then I can focus on that. But I do have like more than 40 episodes worth of ideas that I have going on. I really hope I don't cancel them. I really hope I can work on all of those. Obviously, that's gonna take a while to get all 40 episodes in what, couple of years. If I still do YouTube, let's see. But there's like a lot of racing stories, ideas that I thought in my head. So let's see how that's gonna go. But I don't want to ruin the surprise. Y'all just gotta like tune in, subscribe, turn on notifications, and let's see how that goes. All right, so I was checking if there were like other questions I didn't miss. I think I got everything. Looks like all the questions were on the Q&A video. So those are all your questions, and I just want to say thank y'all so much for the support of the series. Thank y'all so much for asking me a bunch of questions. If you still want to ask questions but you never had a chance to, feel free to comment below. I'll still answer it in the comments. But like I said, thank y'all so much for everything, supporting the series. I'm so happy to do it. And I really want to keep going with the series. I do have a lot of ideas coming in the future. So, yeah. Thank y'all so much for watching this video. And I'm very grateful to answer your questions. This is Ian the Motorsports Man signing off. Goodbye, everybody.